It's time for HawgSports Live from HawgSports.com, a division of 24/7 Sports, presented by Crain Automotive. The Crain Team's got 'em. Visit them online at crainteam.com. And now with the latest breaking updates on HawgSports, here's Trey Biddy.
What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Madness is upon us. I don't just mean the basketball tournament and, obviously March 11th with the SEC tournament, but really just kind of the overlap that we're about to hit as March approaches. You've got obviously basketball going on, just a few games left in the regular season. A couple weeks away, not even a couple weeks, right at a couple of weeks, I guess, from the SEC basketball tournament. Spring football starting on March 15th. You're in the baseball regular season, and the dead period is about to lift also in recruiting. We're going to talk to Kevin Bohannon, Danny West, discuss the latest in Arkansas sport on the horizon. A few opinions here and there as well. All that and more on today's episode of Hawg Sports Live. The Crain Automotive Team has 16 locations across our state and is home to the Crain Commitment. You'll find Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen, and access to thousands of pre-owned vehicles. Vehicles for every lifestyle and every budget. Even if you're not in the market for a vehicle, the Crain Team Service Centers offer the latest in vehicle diagnostic technology and certified technicians to take care of your vehicle and get you back on the road. Check them out at crainteam.com. Hawg Sports Live is driven by the Crain Automotive Team.
You've done it. Now you're the Crain Cash champ. You just won big with the Crain Team. Go ahead, soak it up. How could you not feel like a winner? You dominated with our low price guarantee, and you got way more for your trade. Plus, with statewide delivery on thousands of vehicles from 16 locations, and the fact that we'll beat any other dealer's price, we make our Kansans feel like champions every day. That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Visit crainteam.com.
One of these days, I'm just going to come out and do straight Macho Man, just a Macho Man intro. The Crain Automotive Team, has 16 locations. Okay. So the NFL Combine getting underway with on-field testing today. You've got defensive linemen and linebackers for Arkansas. That means Cam Ball and Xavier Sori. That starts at 2 o'clock. Central Standard Time. You've got Mike Washington participating, Taylon Green, Julian Neal, Cam Ball, Xavier Sori, and Fernando Carmona. 6 guys from Arkansas for a team that won 2 games. I mean, I've seen better Arkansas teams with much fewer guys at the NFL Combine. So, I don't know. Maybe that says a lot. Maybe it doesn't. But everything gets started for those 2 guys. It's hard to follow along. We'll update everything on Hawg Sports as it goes. But, like, if you're watching on NFL Network, it's kind of hard to follow because they're not going, like, unless you're like a first-round draft pick, they're not going to take you station to station, and watch you do the broad and the vertical jump and all those different things. You will probably be able to watch the 40-yard dash unless they go to commercial. I've seen them do that before, go to commercial right when an Arkansas guy's running. So we'll have everything updated on Hawg Sports so you can follow along on how the former Hogs did. I get asked all the time, guys, how do you think this football team's going to be? I was at a bowling alley the other night. People asking me, like, what do you think the record's going to be? You think they can go 500? You think they can go better than 500? And the truth is, I have no idea, and neither should anybody else, because we don't know what Arkansas has at quarterback, and that's something that we talked about a lot during the transfer portal. Can they go out and get a guy who's a proven winner? And the answer is no, they didn't do that. Now, they brought in some guys with promise. I've seen a lot of guys with promise that aren't worth a damn. Maybe they are, though. You just don't know that. And if you don't have a good quarterback, you're probably not going to have a good team. Bottom line, probably not going to have a good team. Some teams are able to overcome stuff like that because they have so much talent on their roster. Arkansas needs, a dynamic quarterback. So let's look at this a little bit before we get into some other stuff. Just because spring football is coming up, it's a huge storyline with the quarterback battle. If you look at the teams that made it to the college football playoff, the Power 4 level teams anyway, Oklahoma, they had John Mateer, who transferred in from Washington State, a guy that they brought in. Oregon had a second-year transfer in Dante Moore, who's coming back. This year, they also got Dylan Raiola from Nebraska. So they've got those 2 guys. Texas Tech started Baron Morton, is that how you say his name? Who is a multi-year, like a 4-year starter for them. But do you think that they're just going to go like, well, we're just going to go to the next guy? Who's next on our roster to start a quarter? No, they went and got Brennan Sorsby, who's the number 2 overall prospect in the transfer portal. They're not going to damage their momentum. Indiana started Fernando Mendoza, who was first-year starter for them, who started previously at Cal. They didn't just go like, well, let's just promote Alberto Mendoza to the starting job. He's next. No, they went out and got Josh Hoover from TCU out of the transfer portal. Miami started Carson Beck, and then they just went and just took Darian Mensah off the Duke roster. Just took him. Paid the buyout, paid him a ton of money, just went and took him. They're not messing around with their momentum and just relying on an unknown at quarterback. Ole Miss almost messed up by just elevating Austin Simmons, but luckily they had gone and gotten Trinidad Chambliss out of Ferris State, who ended up being, leading them to more wins than they've ever had. So A&M obviously had Marcel Reed, who was elevated last year after an injury to Connor Weigman, and so they knew what they had in him. Georgia, had Gunnar Stockton, who played a decent bit for them last year, but he wasn't dynamic for them. Alabama had Ty Simpson, who wasn't really dynamic. Both those guys about 150 QB rating. Ohio State went with Julian Sayin, who's a 5-star quarterback prospect. But again, Ohio State has so much talent all the way around them, But programs like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Texas, those are generally going to be your most talented teams. LSU would be in that conversation too, but all those schools I just mentioned have pretty much had a top recruiting class or number 2 recruiting class in the last 5 years and are always in the top 10. LSU would be in that mix, but they went with Garrett Nussmeier, who wasn't very good and cost Brian Kelly his job. So all these guys like KJ and AJ both have really good physical gifts. I know less about Brennan Fuller. I know less about him, but I know AJ and KJ both have a lot of physical gifts. However, you can go back and look at, through history, there's so many guys that were overlooked because the other guy had all these physical gifts. And I bring up some guys like that, but all the guys that they tried to bring in at Georgia to start over Stetson Bennett when Stetson Bennett was clearly their best guy. Felipe Franks over Florida took an injury for that one. Baker Mayfield wasn't given a shot at Texas Tech. But there's a reason. There's guys that have all those physical abilities who are great players, like Matthew Stafford or Cam Newton or Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, so on and so forth. But in addition to those guys, and some of the guys I just mentioned, Patrick Mahomes, he wasn't like a 5-star guy. Major Applewhite, they did everything they could to get Chris Sims the starting job at Texas back in the early 2000s. Johnny Manziel was a 3-star. Russell Wilson was 5'10". Diego Pavia, there's a ton of guys that don't have seemingly all those physical gifts that are great quarterbacks. It's a difficult position to evaluate. Whoever comes out of this with the job, to me, I don't think it's set in stone when we get probably to fall camp. I don't think it'll be set in stone who the starting quarterback is, because you could have all this competition and end up starting the wrong guy. We see it all the time. And so Arkansas has an unknown at quarterback. That is a major red flag. They could have everything else in order, good quality players, no major holes anywhere, some depth. But if they mess up at quarterback, then it doesn't really matter. They're not going to have a good team. You have to have a good quarterback. And I went to the extreme example, the teams that made the college football playoff. I'm not talking about Arkansas in that avenue, but I'm sure I could go through your top 25, and so on and so forth, and show you all these teams had good quarterbacks for the most part. So Braden Fuller, A.J. Hill, and K.J. Jackson are your candidates for the starting quarterback job. Hey, if you hadn't been by Walker Brothers, their new location is really something else. You should go check them out. Bringing you the finest men's clothing from around the world, carefully selected to last, fit right, and help you look your best. From game day essentials to distinguished luxury wear, perfect faded pair of jeans to a meticulously fitted suit. Check them out. It's like a club atmosphere. Not that the store in Fayetteville isn't fantastic. That's the one I go to all the time, 577 Millsap Road, suite number 6. Been there for a number of years. But the store in Rogers is almost like a club. Like you walk in and, they're going to offer you a drink, if you're of age. You do some shopping, get fitted for a suit, sit down and watch TV if you want, hang out. A lot of Razorback fans in there. A former player last time I went in there also was working in Walker Brothers. So a lot of Razorback fans. They've got all the curly tail, crazy hog logos on shirts. Peter Millar, obviously, Johnny O, Horns 11, Divot Sportswear. Men's clothing, taking care of the men out there. There are not a lot of options for us, but we really don't need a lot because Walker Brothers has you covered. Go check them out at their 2 locations, 577 Millsap Road, suite number 6 in Fayetteville, 3503 South 55th Street, suite 101 in Rogers. Okay, Arkansas, that was a fun game last night. Took Darius Acuff a little bit to get going, but he still dropped 22 on the Aggies. 99-84, Arkansas covered, and the over hit. I was iffy on whether they would cover. I mean, Texas A&M had 9 wins in the conference going into this game. It's not like they're chopped liver. I was a little hesitant on the line. It was anywhere from 7.5 to 8.5, depending on when you got it. But I did think the over would hit, and it did. Darius Acuff with 22 points, 10 to start the game in the first half. 1 of 10, finished 7 of 19, 7 of 9 from the line, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 of which he had in the first half, and was plus 14 overall. Billy Richmond, guys. Like, we're talking all this stuff about where Darius Acuff belongs. Should he be, even Cal, and we'll play a clip from Cal here in a minute. Cal was saying, where is he in the talks for SEC player, or National Player of the Year, which his numbers are right there. They're winning, obviously. So, keep on winning, and maybe you're in that discussion. But definitely people are talking about him leading the pack now for SEC Player of the Year, SEC Freshman of the Year, SEC Newcomer of the Year, obviously. But what about Billy? Is Billy an all-SEC player? I mean, this guy has taken off. I'm trying to find where I have his numbers, but he has 20 points, at least 20 points in each of the last 4 games. And just keeps getting better and better, gets better at shooting. He's a huge presence out there from an energy standpoint. I think we need to start talking about where does Billy Richmond belong in the all-SEC conversation. I mean, when you look at his numbers, he's averaging 10.9 a game or something like that. But if you look at SEC play, it's a lot more. But anyway, it got a little bit scary there. I never felt like Arkansas was going to lose a game. Never felt like they were going to lose control, even with Acuff not playing well. And when he wasn't shooting well, he still dished 5 assists in the first half, and then really turned it on, obviously. But Billy Richmond with 23 points. Great game for Billy. Once again, Malik Ewan with 18. He's stepped it up since that Alabama game. Wish he'd have stepped it up in that Alabama game, because, we'll get to the standings and all that kind of stuff here in a second. But first I want to play this 1-minute clip, just a cut-up of John Calipari after the game last night.
To have only 9 turnovers in a game that's played the way that game was played, it's kind of amazing. Somebody just told me Darius was 1 for 12 in the first half. Probably should have subbed him out and sat him. Look, I'm a little disappointed, and I'm not trying to put more on the kid. Why isn't he in the equation in the Player of the Year in the country? What are you saying? Why would you say he's averaging as many as all those people? He's got 6 assists. He's got 3 rebounds. He's doing things in the guts of games. Yeah, maybe they are, but he is too. So why isn't he being mentioned? He's playing when he could probably take some time off games, and he's playing anyway. We were crowding the court a little bit. The only thing that I was kind of mad at, when a team plays you that way and speeds you up and you're skilled like us, I'd say, let's score 100, and we didn't. So we're still not quite making the numbers that we want to make, but if you're going to score 99, it's okay to make 4 and only shoot 17.
All right, John Calipari there. We're going to be joined here in just a little bit by Kevin Bohannon when we get into some more baseball talk. But SEC basketball tournament starting on March 11th. The second round, which Arkansas is at least going to be get the second round and get the single bye. is Thursday, March 12th. And then hopefully if Arkansas finishes in the top 2 of the conference, then they'll make the quarterfinals automatically, get the double bye. That's Friday, March 13th. The second straight March 13th. Or excuse me, Friday the 13th. Not the second straight March 13th. The second straight Friday the 13th in back-to-back months that we've had. So Florida leading the league at 13-2 right now. Alabama, Arkansas are both 2 games back at 11-4. Alabama has a head-to-head over Arkansas. Arkansas has to win every game, basically, in my opinion, to win the SEC. And they need Florida to drop one, and then they can win it. Florida obviously handled Texas with ease in the Moody Center last night, the 6 o'clock game before Arkansas played. But Florida, 13-2. Alabama and Arkansas are both 11-4. Tennessee is 10-5. Tennessee can't win the conference, but they can finish second and get the double bye. I believe they need a little bit of help. Well, maybe there could be some kind of tie situation. I think they lost the head-to-head to Alabama. So, anyway. Okay. So, just looking at the schedule coming up, what's coming up for Arkansas, you've got Florida this Saturday. That's a 7:30 game in Gainesville. Tough place to play. Florida's obviously surging and hasn't stopped surging. That's a must-win for Arkansas. ESPN, College Game Day going to be there, all that stuff. It's a big game, big environment in Gainesville. And, man, it would be great if Arkansas could pull that one off and then beat Texas on Wednesday and then finish things out with a win at Missouri. That would be a strong, strong finish. Trying to get into that 3 seed category, in my opinion. I mean, you want to be away from the 1 seed as much as possible. So if you're a 4 or 5, you're in that 1 seed bracket, where you play them that next weekend, the Sweet 16. So you'd like to get to that 3 seed. Okay, so for Florida, they have Arkansas left, Mississippi State, which they'll clobber Mississippi State, and it's in Gainesville. And then they have to go at Kentucky. Arkansas needs to win out. That includes beating Florida. They need Kentucky to enact some revenge on Florida and beat them in their home environment. Kentucky, they've kind of tanked. They lost 3 straight. They won the last one. Alabama, just looking at their schedule, they got some tough games. They're at Tennessee, they're at Georgia, which has fallen off, and they host Auburn, which, Auburn can get them. Tennessee, which again is out of the conversation for first place, but still battling, for the double bye. They have Alabama, they have at South Carolina, and then they host Vanderbilt to finish things out. Arkansas is plus 9.5 against Florida. The over-under is 167.5. I like that over. I don't know what to think on the over-under, but if I was forced to take it, like you have to take it, I think I would take Florida just because they're so tough at home, and once they create a little separation, I don't know. I don't want to take that though. I don't feel good either way on that, but I do think the over will hit. Bet Saracen is Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. If you haven't checked out Bet Saracen, then you should do so. Check them out at betsaracen.com. Download the app and, use the promo code Biddy250. Like, if you haven't signed up, sign up. Lay 25 on your first bet. Use the promo code Biddy250, capital B, lowercase IDDY 250, Biddy250 altogether. And you'll get $250 back in bonuses. Pretty sweet deal from our friends over at Bet Saracen.
Arkansas's Fab 5 for Bet Saracen.
Man, I love Bet Saracen's promo page.
Promos, man. Lots of options for profit boosts, bonus bets, and more.
Who you flirting with now, Pat?
Not flirting, working. Talking with my Bet Saracen host. She's putting together an event for VIPs.
You know any?
Come on, man, I'm the shooter.
And only Bet Saracen has hope.
Bet Saracen.
Only Bet Saracen has hope. Do you guys watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms? When he talks about, when Egg is talking about hope, when he's listening to that song from the Baratheon dude. I won't spoil it, but Night of the Seven Kingdoms is good. Night of the Seven Kingdoms reminds me a little bit of, like, I was a big Transformers fan growing up, and I hate all the Michael Bay Transformer movies. I really like the new one that they did, the kind of cartoonish one, but I'm not a big fan of the Michael Bay ones. It's not what I grew up thinking about with Transformers. But they came out with Bumblebee. Remember where they came out with Bumblebee? And Bumblebee's this little side story. That to me was like, I don't know. Danny asks, am I okay? What am I not doing right? Oh, I'm sending him X links. Okay. He got in. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that, Danny. But anyway, Danny's coming in at 12:30 here, and we got Kevin Bohannon coming in here shortly. But I have to send them like an invite to get into the show, and I kept sending the wrong links to him and Kevin both, like YouTube links, X links. But it is the same link, I think, every time that works. All right, so, yeah, Florida Gators, looking at them real quick. Thomas Hall averaging 16.9 points per game. Alex Condon, 14.3 points per game. Two guys lead, or 1 and 3, I think, in the conference in rebounding. That's where they really stand out above Arkansas, averaging over 9 rebounds a game, more than Arkansas. Obviously, the underlying storyline here is Boogie Fland, who's averaging 11.5 points per game for them. So Florida is very good again. No secret. 22-6, first in the SEC at 13-2. This is just a huge game. It's a huge game for Arkansas. Okay. All right, before I hop on with Kevin Bohannon, here's DVH. This is following the 1-0 win over Arkansas State. Arkansas split the series and have another one coming up.
Well, they were incredible. I mean, it's a good hitting lineup that's feeling really good about themselves. They got after us awfully good yesterday. And, DeCremer come out there. He's sick as a dog. He's probably got the flu. That's why we pulled him. Obviously, Eves came in and just pitched outstanding for 2 2/3, I think. And then, you look what Coyle did, the same thing. Yeah, it was a team win. I had to rewrite the lineup. I thought Koji was okay. They told me he's okay. Took pregame stuff, and then we're getting ready to do the batting practice stuff, and he was done. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play this weekend. No matter who beats you, and you got a second chance, you need to win the game. We feel like guys are obviously better than that they've shown, but we never got the big hit. We hit into a double play. Should have scored at least 2 in the first. We got to flip it, but we know it. The 2-out hits are the ones that separate games.
OzarksGo. Join us at OzarksGo. You can reach out to them at 479-684-4900 if you're looking for fast, reliable, consistent internet service. I've used them for a number of years. Never unplugged my router before. Just consistently works. Several different tiers of internet speed. I use the Gigabit Plus, which is like 250 megabits per second. I think the gigabit, is probably great for most families in terms of bandwidth and speed and all of those things. You can reach out to them at OzarksGo.net/hawg. That's HAWG. Check them out. Cabo, your dog is not happy.
She's never happy. It's Beagles always bark, so.
I used to have to clean Beagle pen. I'd go visit. I had these people in Alabama that my mom was friends with when she was, younger and in college and stuff, and the Youngs. And I called them aunt and uncle and stuff.
Yeah.
Anybody cares, but I wasn't related to them. But anyway, one of them I'd clean the crap out of the Beagle pens. A lot of crap, a lot of hosed off crap in my day, in my youth.
From a lot of crap.
So, Kevin, how's things going? How you doing?
I'm good. But better than the Arkansas baseball clubhouse. Seems like the flu's been running rampant through there, and it's affected the way they've played the last couple of days.
Dude, it hit all us, I think, didn't it? Did it hit you?
Yeah, it hit me. Yeah,
I didn't have the flu. I took a flu COVID combo test thing, and I don't know what I had, and my doctor's just like, there's just a lot of stuff going around. Who knows what you had? But I was sick last week. Connor was sick. Tyler was sick.
Danny was out for a bit. Yeah.
Danny. Yeah. Everybody got hit. Danny's household got hit when during the transfer portal, and he stayed locked away in his office the whole time.
I remember that. He was stuck in the office the whole time, which was good. He did a great job. Minimum sleep, that didn't help things.
So it wasn't the best showing over Tuesday and Wednesday against Arkansas State. 12-4 loss on Tuesday, and then just a 1-0 win on Wednesday. What are your thoughts on how things played out?
Yeah, 5 runs over 2 days against a Sun Belt team. Never good when you look at it at face value, obviously, but there were some good things to take away from it. One, you get to play a lot of guys. If you got guys that are out sick, you had a lot of guys that were playing sick. Camden Kozel on Tuesday looked like he didn't feel good. Obviously, he was a late scratch before Wednesday's game and didn't play. Coach Van Horn said last night that he probably wouldn't play this weekend. So that opened up Nolan Sousa to get on the field. Carson Brumball was out on Tuesday with the same thing. Jackson Kircher went down Monday, and he's probably the sickest he's been in his life, according to what I've heard. So, guys got to play. That's the good thing. Now, it's not all rainbows and sunshines, of course, but it's not all doom and gloom either, guys. There's a lot of people, and I wrote no time to panic in Tuesday's post-game article that I wrote. And I always do a little analysis in there as well. Like, it's not time to panic. You got guys that are playing well. You got 4 guys that are hitting 345 or better. Hilfrich's hitting 294. That's over half your lineup right there. So that's a good thing. Your pitching staff, they're holding teams to a 185 average. Now, it's when you get those hits and when you make those key pitches that mean the most. You give up a grand slam in the first inning, that puts you behind the 8 ball pretty big. And that's going to be tough to come back on, like Peyton Lee did Tuesday against Arkansas State. Sunday against Xavier, they hit 588 with 2 outs. The last couple of days, they didn't get any 2-out hits. And they were hit into 3 double plays on Wednesday against Arkansas State. So it's not everything's as bad as it seems. I think it's going to get better this weekend against UT Arlington. They've got an okay pitching staff, but they don't hit very well. So Arkansas should get to take out some frustration this weekend.
So you've got the Friday game, February 27th at 3 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock on Saturday, which works out well. You'll be able to watch baseball and then leisurely slide into the basketball at 7:30, and then you've got the 1 o'clock game against UT Arlington on March 1st. So then next week you got a midweek game, and then the 4-game series against Stetson.
Yeah, 4-game series because you got a day off, and it's a big 18-game homestand they're in the middle of right now. So the weather's going to be great. I think that they face Xavier team has got 22 new players on the roster. They've got a lot of transfers in. Kalen Dykert, it's going to start Friday night for the Mavericks. They're picked to finish 7th they finished 7th in the Western Athletic Conference last year. They're picked to finish about in that same spot this year. They're 2-6. One of those wins is against TCU when TCU was ranked number 7. They beat them 11-8 at Globe Life Field last week. But they've had a pair of 3-game losing streaks. They've been swept the first weekend against Northwestern State, and then they got swept this past weekend against Lamar.
What about Colin Fisher, Big Tuna? I mean,
Big Shark, yeah.
He's pitching as well as anyone. You're calling him Big Shark?
Yeah. It's not going to pick up, but, when you have the stuff.
I've never successfully had a nickname work out, and I've had some good ones, I thought.
Yeah. So, yeah, Big Tuna, and that comes from when he got on campus and probably before. So I don't think a sports writer in Central Arkansas is going to get it to pick up. But maybe just with enough, momentum we can. But, the stuff is gotten better since his freshman All-American year. He got over that injury, and last year he was just bouncing back from that. The stuff wasn't as sharp, but he has 3 breaking pitches that have 3 different profiles. The curveball has a MLB starter profile as far as the spin rate. It's over 2,800. It's up there with the Peyton Paulette curveballs and Clayton Kershaw curveballs of the world. That's a really tight spin rate. So tight spin rate means batters can't pick up the spin. They can't see it really well. You want to look for the dot. When you got a pitch like that, creates an axis in that little red dot. They can't see that. So that's what causes a lot of swing and miss. And he's got that low 3/4 arm slot, and he's able to stay down in the zone. In the past, he's been above the knees. Now he's at the knees, and if he's missing down. That's where you want to miss as a pitcher. He's not overpowering people. He's maybe max out velocity at 92 during a game. So, so far, one-hit shutout this past weekend, and that was on an infield hit. He's got 13 innings on the year, only 2 walks and 19 strikeouts. No one better right now, but I think they'll keep the weekend rotation the way it is right now. Maybe look at something going into the Stetson series, since it is a 4-game series. They may slide Fisher into that 2-spot, Deeps to 3. Depends on the production this weekend. They've still got some time to figure that out.
The best nickname I had, Kevin, was for Dijon Harris.
Yeah.
He already came up with the nickname Scooter.
Scooter.
But I just thought for a middle linebacker, Mustard Harris was a great name. And I thought it was going to catch on. And
that's a Chris Berman level nickname right there, Trey. That was
Mustard
good.
Harris.
Yeah.
So Arkansas need to worry about UT Arlington? They're just kind of worry about yourself?
I think they just need to worry about themselves. I mean, that's the biggest thing. UT Arlington doesn't present a matchup issue. You know, they got some guys like their guy that's going to start Friday night for him, Kalen Digert. He transferred in. He's a 2-way guy. He's hitting 292 on the season, but he's their Friday night guy, and he's gone 10 innings and got a 1.8 ERA. They're allowing teams to hit 275 as a pitching staff. So Arkansas's offensive woes should work out this weekend. Plus, UT Arlington's offense is not very good. They've got 2 guys that are hitting $133, and that's how their starting lineup. Arkansas has the same thing with TJ Pompey hitting 188 and Carson Brumball hitting 103. But, you know, at a higher level, these guys should just worry about themselves, work on their hitting approach. You can't – now's the time you want to work on it. When you get into SEC conference play, have everything figured out and just play the game. Now's the time where you tinker with a lot of things, figure stuff out. The main guys are doing it. Helfrich, Kozel, Robinette, Aloy, and hopefully they get Damian Ruiz back. He's not going to be playing this weekend, I don't think. So that allows Christian Turner and Zach Stewart to get some time in the outfield as well. That allows you to build depth for the postseason run. That's what you want to do this weekend. Worry about yourself. Work on things that you can control. Work ethic, attitude, everything after that you can't control. That's what Dave Van Sporten's message has been to the team this week.
All right, good stuff, K-Bo. Appreciate you hopping on.
You bet. Thanks, Trey.
All right, everybody. Kevin Bohannon. Again, follow him at K-Bo Baseball Guru on X and read all of his content at HawgSports.com. I'd like to tell you about our buddies over at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry. Proud to be the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks, and I always encourage you to check out that store. It is outrageous. There's just nothing like it in the region. But you can also shop them online by going to BlakemansFineJewelry.com, and they also have delivery. So be sure to check them out. If you're not in the area, you can go online, shop them there, or if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you can visit them at their brand new location at 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway in Rogers, 72758. Built on tradition since 1987, Blakeman's has been Northwest Arkansas's trusted destination for exceptional jewelry and personalized service. Where Arkansas gets engaged. Not a bad time to get engaged, is it, Danny West?
No. Who's doing it?
I'm just saying. Not a bad time to get engaged.
Oh,
people
no,
be
sure.
getting married, you know. This is coming up where people start getting, like, people like those spring, summer weddings, you know.
Yeah.
Love is in the air.
I'm all for it, buddy.
Yeah, marriage is a secret, right? So one of the rules of there was some I can't remember how many rules there are to getting rich or being wealthy in America. One of them was graduate high school, get a job, get married, and stay married.
Somebody lied to you, bro. I checked them all off. It hadn't happened yet.
Don't you need a woman pushing you to strive
You do.
to be better?
You do.
Yeah. Even when you're just like, please, just leave me alone.
Right.
Let me sit down. So, Danny, pushing you for a little bit of information with what's coming up because the dead period's about to end. March 2nd, the dead period is over, month long. And what's that mean? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, so the calendar, as you said, rolls into a quiet period starting next Monday, and right off the bat, buddy, you got visits popping off, and a really notable visit. Sent you a name earlier, Eli Thornton. We can talk about that real quick because he's going to be the first one in the door, and that's notable, Trey, because the young man out of Valley View over in Jonesboro, 6'3", 315 defensive lineman, defensive tackle. He's got offers from Wisconsin. I think Arizona State came in there recently with an offer. But Vanderbilt, Purdue's up there for him. But man, he's a great kid. He's really wanting that Arkansas offer. And man, I can't sit here and predict, and guarantee for these guys, but just the timing of it, Trey, I think works in his favor. As does the board right now. We've talked about it a little bit. Arkansas is off to a little bit of a slow start from a timing standpoint, just because of the staff changeover. It's to be expected when you need that much portal action. So from there, you look at their D tackle board. There's not just a ton of names that pop off early on for him. So, man, I think he's in a really good spot. Again, I can't guarantee anything. They've got to see what they want to see. They're the coaches for a reason, but wouldn't shock me at all if that produces a new offer, and that would make 10 inside the state so far for this 27 class. So Monday's a big day. Be on the lookout for that, and then I would imagine
he's got options, Danny.
Yeah, he does. He's a really good player, and I think the Wisconsin momentum is real. He's been up there. They offered right after that visit, I should say. And he's already set an official visit up there at Wisconsin. Now they've got, I know it's a different side of the ball. We'll see what side they want him on, but you've got Eric Mateos up there as well. So this is a guy who's recruited the state of Arkansas and knows his way around Arkansas kids too. So I'm sure that helps him. But that's if he goes unoffered by Arkansas. I like Wisconsin. If Arkansas joins the race next week, I would probably like Arkansas.
Yeah, you've also got Mississippi State, Oklahoma State, Purdue, Vanderbilt, and others that have already extended an offer his way. That's Eli Thorne.
Great kid, man. You're going to love him. Hopefully you'll get a chance to get to know him. But as far as a kid, you're not going to beat him. He's one of those.
Let's get to a little bit more flash, Danny. Jeremiah Dent.
JD, yeah, let's do that. Top 8 yesterday. I know that really excites people in February. Top 8 for a guy that, last fall talked about making a decision in late January. That came and went with no decision. New offers started pouring in. In fairness to Jeremiah, Auburn came in about mid-December. I want to say Bobby Petrino offered the day after Arkansas did in late January. So that's a topic by itself. But both of those teams already got official visits lined up with JD, as does Arkansas, and the rest of his top 8, Trey. Arizona State, maybe that's why I had ASU on the mind, but he's got ASU in it, Arkansas, Auburn, Iowa, Miami, North Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Ole Miss, not a surprise there, obviously a threat to any in-state prospect nowadays, but especially Eastern Arkansas guys, just it is what it is, man. They've got the momentum, and they've had quite a bit of success over there. But I think Auburn right now, Trey, is probably the biggest one in my opinion, pushing for JD.
Yeah, and he's got doesn't he have a visit? Yeah, visit set to Auburn on June 19th. He's got North Carolina set for June 5th, but he'll visit Arkansas first on May 29th. Obviously, you'd like him not to leave without being committed. He is the number 1 ranked player in the state of Arkansas.
And they're telling him he's number 1 on their board too, Trey. That's notable. They've made him a priority. They've made it known. And, it's super notable because there's like 3 or 4 running backs inside the state this year. So for them to say, hey, you're our number 1 guy, that probably means quite a bit. And we know that because he said so yesterday. He told us that.
So, Danny, as we've talked about, you've got a quiet period coming up March 2nd through the 14th, and then another contact period, the 15th to the 23rd. Anything else we need to know about stuff coming up?
Yeah, after this, as you know, Biddy, spring ball, it's going to produce. And what's the start date on that? We've got it written down somewhere.
March 15th.
15th,
Sunday.
okay. That's going to kick off a run of visits, which is to be expected. That's going to be a good time. So it's about to heat up. It's a little bit slow right now. Honestly, it's just February anymore, but we're probably a week out from seeing a lot more visit list names pop up. Already working the back channels a little bit there, reaching out to prospects, seeing who might show up for spring ball. But then after that, it's for a few weeks leading up to the spring game. Spring game's really not what they used to be in terms of recruits showing up, but you would hope to still have a pretty good turnout there. And then after that, I mean, it's contact period. Coaches hit the road. That, again, looks way different than it used to, and probably doesn't get the same amount of attention because it's not as fun or juicy as a in-home visit with when they're eating 3 or 4 meals a night, the good old days, right? It looks much different than that now. So contact period, and then you roll into a dead period for 4 days. Coming out of that, May 28th, it's going to be on and popping. That'll be your first week of official visits at Arkansas, and that's when Jeremiah is coming. A bunch of them being for that weekend.
Okay, Danny. Anything else to add?
No, is that it?
That's think of. We hadn't even
Cool,
started.
Man. It ran by. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Appreciate you, Danny.
Yeah, man. See you.
All right, everybody. That's Danny West. Follow him at Danny West 24/7 on X and read all of his content at HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Danny's about to be very busy. Danny's life goes in like waves. Like there's times where, there's stuff to do. Obviously, in recruiting, it never really stops. But there's just times like transfer portal where it's just like explosion of news, and then contact periods and all of that kind of stuff pops up. Recruiting visits come, camps start up, all that stuff just very fluctuates a lot. Hey, I've mentioned my friends over at the Back Nine Golf. Memberships are filling up fast for that, by the way. They're going to cap that. There's only so many, but it's 4 hitting bays. Okay, you can bring your own food and drink in there, hang out. There's a VIP section with a pool table and a bar and tables and chairs and stuff. You can hang out, do fantasy football or whatever, have meetings and stuff. But there's 3 other hitting bays, a big facility. There are several different plans. There's a par plan, a birdie plan, an eagle plan. They offer free demos. They're over on Crossover in Fayetteville, like right by that CrossFit over on Ash and Crossover. It's kind of like in the back there. But you can go there 24/7. You can go there at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to. And you just got to book a tee time, and your phone is your key. You just walk in and set it up and start playing. A couple of massage chairs in there, TVs all over the place. Go watch the basketball game, play golf. What's wrong with that? Check them out, the Back Nine Golf in Fayetteville. And there's a link below to the website, but you can also just Google search it. Okay. Questions have kind of tailed off here lately, so I don't know that we're going to have a bunch of questions. We've got a few. Let's check our comments first. Kevin Bohannon asking for the correct StreamYard links. My mic is pretty quiet today, says Cap Bailey ASMR. You want more ASMR? Check, check, check. Does anybody else feel like my mic is quiet? Thorhog says, Trey, in your opinion, how far in the tournament would they have to advance for you to feel good about seeing Carter Knox play again this season, or is he just done for the season in your opinion? So 6 weeks for that kind of injury at least, I think they'd have to make it to the Final Four. And then it just might be a, hey, play in the Final Four, kind of moment. So I think he's probably done for the season. But if they made it that far, then it's possible in theory, I guess. Paul Feinhog says, what is your preferred seed for the Hogs in March Madness? Highest possible or lower the better early game matchups? No, I'm not opposed to seeing them get a 3 seed at all. I don't want the 4-5. I don't, just to stay out of the region with the 1. But I mean, to me, like if you make a Sweet 16, in addition to the season that they've had a pretty good season. This is a good season if they do that. If you make more noise than that, make it to the Elite 8 with the season that they've had, that to me is a great season. So I would like to see them, obviously go as far as possible. And I think long term, the 3 seed would be the best path for them. And who know, you never know who's going to fall off, but it's very rare. And in fact, only has happened once, as we know, with Virginia losing in the opening round as a 1 seed. So 2 seeds get knocked off. You never know. You could find yourself with a real easy path. Hopefully they don't get knocked off. Also, this is Paul Feinhog. Played golf with Houston Nutt recently. He was unaware of your impression of him, but he loves the walk and talk. I feel like Houston Nutt is the easiest impression to do. Trey Biddy. There's a lot of lions and tigers and bears, but they ain't but one Razorback. Trey, as of now, who do you see being the starting wide receiver for football? It's a good question. I have a projected depth chart that we could look at. Okay. So let's see how I've got it. I'll probably change it up again before we get to spring football. Wide receivers, I've got Jaylen Brown, projected as 1, with Donovan Faupel behind him and Courtney Crutchfield behind him. Nothing set in stone, but Jaylen Brown started for him last year. I think there's a good reason to think that he could start for him again this year. At the other outside receiver, I have penciled in Antonio Jordan, 6'6", 224, a guy that made a lot of waves last year, early in camp, kind of hit that freshman wall, had an injury. I think it was a high ankle sprain, and just never really got going. But he would be a guy that I really have my eye on. But I have an or beside his name for Chris Marshall, who is a former top 25 recruit nationally, 6'3", 215, who has had issues at places he has been, but he did produce at Boise State, but obviously hasn't lived up to that top 25 player ranking. And Monte Harrison, Monte hurt his foot last year. He'd made a lot of strides. If he makes as many strides this year as he made last year, maybe he factors in. And then inside receiver, I've got C.J. Brown projected to start, returning starter from last year, but I'm not counting out Jelani Watkins or Jamari Hawkins or Ismail Cece. Ismail Cece was projected to start after the spring last year. He was a starter in the spring and then had that wrist injury, lifting weights, some ligament damage, and missed the entire season. Jelani Watkins, the way I remember Jelani Watkins is from LSU, is because he's got an L in his name. He's from LSU, Jelani Watkins. And the way I remember it's Watkins and not Hawkins is like I think of like West Monroe, Louisiana, so a W. Like that's the mechanism that I've used because Jelani Watkins and Jamari Hawkins I think are going to confuse a lot of people that don't pay a whole lot of attention. But Jamari Hawkins obviously from Memphis. So that's how I have it shaken out right now. A lot of oars for you, but that's a good thing. There's a lot of wide receivers that have potential here. So the question is, do they have a quarterback that can get them the ball? Big question. It's possible that they do. You just don't know. You just don't know. Like, it's not like teams across the country are just regularly producing great quarterbacks from the high school ranks time after time. You just don't see that. Clemson had a pretty good run of doing that with Deshaun Watson, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, but they had guys in between that before Trevor Lawrence that weren't exceptional. The guy that came on a visit here back in 2018, left the team after Trevor Lawrence took his starting spot. They like it's not, and Oklahoma has had a lot obviously, but Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, some of those guys were all transfers. What's the guy that won the Heisman? Caleb. He came from the high school ranks for them. But, they've had plenty of other guys that they've had through the high school ranks that haven't been stars for them. So just don't – quarterback's a difficult position. But generally, the first quarterback that's taken comes from different schools. It's not just like one school continuously because it's such a unique position. It's like you just never know who that stud is going to be across the country. Even Johnny Manziel, as we've talked about, he was not a 4-star prospect by any recruiting service. He was a 3-star recruit. I remember the first time I saw him, they were playing Florida, his first drive, and I was like, oh, crap. Oh, gosh, this guy? Great. He's a redshirt freshman? Awesome. So anyway, okay. I think we've covered pretty much everything. Let's see. I've got, Noah H. Arker says the mic is fine. A lot of times people will tell me they can't hear anything. They've got headphones plugged in or something and don't realize it, or their volume is down. Rucker 2892 says, do you think I'm wrong to be worried about the baseball offense with what we have seen so far? And we also lead the SEC in strikeouts and haven't even got to SEC play. I don't know. I think it's probably early. I'm not the baseball guy, but just from what Kevin said, I think it'd probably be a little bit premature to be worried. But, if it continues, then obviously, get worried when we get a bigger sample size. So we'll see. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. Thanks to Kevin Bohannon for hopping on, Danny West as well. And go sign up at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. Check out our sponsors if you haven't done that. We certainly appreciate all of them for backing us and supporting what we do at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.